Hurricane Erin, a record-shattering storm, is churning relentlessly across the Atlantic, its immense power visible even from space. Meteorologists are tracking its every move, watching as the storm's swirling mass grows larger and more menacing by the hour. Erin is sending colossal waves toward the U.S. East Coast, with the ocean responding violently to the hurricane's distant but overwhelming force. The coastline braces for impact as the first signs of the storm's reach become apparent. Reports warn of individual waves reaching up to 100 feet in the open Atlantic, a staggering height that dwarfs even the largest ships. These waves are not just a spectacle, they are a deadly threat to anyone caught at sea. The energy from these waves is traveling hundreds of miles, carrying the storm's fury far beyond its center. Coastal communities from Florida to New England are now under threat, with officials warning of dangerous surf and flooding. Erin rapidly intensified to a Category 5 hurricane, with winds of 160 miles per hour, making it one of the most powerful storms ever recorded in this region. The sheer force of the wind has the potential to uproot trees, damage buildings, and cause widespread power outages. Although the hurricane has weakened slightly to Category 3, it remains a formidable force, still capable of causing catastrophic damage. The storm's core may have lost some strength, but its outer bands continue to unleash heavy rain and strong winds. Its impact is already being felt in the Turks and Caicos, where residents are dealing with flooding, storm surge, and the aftermath of relentless winds. Emergency crews are working around the clock to assist those affected. Erin battered the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, leaving behind a trail of destruction, damaged homes, downed power lines, and communities struggling to recover from the storm's wrath. The real danger now comes from the massive swells racing ahead of the storm, moving faster than the hurricane itself and reaching shores long before the eye arrives. These swells are set to create deadly surf conditions even on sunny days, catching beachgoers off guard with powerful rip currents and unpredictable waves. Experts urge everyone to respect the ocean's power, reminding the public that the water can be treacherous even when skies appear clear and calm. Authorities are issuing urgent safety warnings, advising people to stay away from the water and to monitor official updates closely as conditions can change rapidly. The focus is now on the far-reaching effects of these swells, not just the storm's direct path. Even areas far from the hurricane's center can experience hazardous conditions and flooding. This is not a time for sightseeing or underestimating the risks. Authorities have closed beaches and restricted access to vulnerable areas to protect the public. As Erin's presence grows, safety and preparation are paramount for all coastal residents. Now is the time to secure property, finalize emergency plans, and look out for neighbors. The coming days will test the resilience of these communities as they face the full force of Hurricane Erin's fury. To truly grasp the threat posed by Erin's waves, we first need to understand what a hurricane is and how it forms. These powerful storms are among nature's most awe-inspiring and destructive forces, capable of reshaping coastlines and impacting millions of lives. Hurricanes, also known as tropical cyclones in some parts of the world, are massive, rotating storms that develop over warm ocean waters. They're essentially giant engines, drawing their energy from the heat of the sea. When the surface temperature of the ocean reaches at least 80 degrees Fahrenheit, the warm, moist air above it begins to rise. As this air ascends, it cools and condenses into clouds, releasing even more heat into the atmosphere. This released heat acts as fuel, intensifying the storm and allowing it to grow larger and more powerful. The process continues as more warm air is drawn upward, creating a cycle that feeds the storm. The result is a dramatic drop in air pressure at the surface, which pulls in even more air from the surrounding area. As this air rushes in, the rotation of the Earth causes it to spin, giving hurricanes their signature spiral shape. The faster the winds spin, the more organized and dangerous the storm becomes. Meteorologists classify hurricanes by their wind speeds using the Saffir-Simpson scale. For example, Hurricane Erin reached the highest level, Category 5, with sustained winds exceeding 157 miles per hour, strong enough to uproot trees and flatten buildings. At the very center of the hurricane lies the eye, a surprisingly calm and clear area, often just a few miles wide. Surrounding the eye is the eye wall, where the most intense winds and heaviest rainfall occur, making it the most dangerous part of the storm. The sheer size and power of a hurricane churn the ocean surface, generating enormous waves and powerful currents that can travel great distances. Even when a hurricane is far offshore, its energy can send dangerous waves and storm surges toward coastlines, threatening communities and reshaping beaches. By understanding how hurricanes form and the immense forces they unleash, we can better appreciate the risks they bring and the importance of respecting nature's power. Hurricanes create giant waves by transferring wind energy to the ocean's surface. Erin's powerful, sustained winds blow over a vast area, building waves bigger and bigger. The storm's relentless winds and huge size provide the perfect conditions for monster waves to form. Near the hurricane's core, waves can reach terrifying heights, potentially up to 100 feet. Once formed, these waves travel outward as organized, long-period swells. These swells can cross thousands of miles, arriving at distant coastlines with much of their energy intact. That's why a hurricane far out at sea can still create dangerous surf and rip currents on our beaches days later. Erin's energy is now moving across the Atlantic, destined for the U.S. East Coast. The result: life-threatening waves and hazardous conditions, even far from the storm itself. Forecasts of 100-foot waves from Erin come from advanced computer models, but there's debate among experts. Significant wave height near the storm's core could exceed 50 feet, with rogue waves possibly reaching double that. Some meteorologists argue that only a Category 4 or 5 storm could produce true 100-footers. As a Category 3, waves of 50 to 75 feet are more likely. Regardless, all agree Erin is generating a massive swell event with serious coastal impacts. The exact numbers matter less than the reality. Hazardous surf and rip currents are guaranteed. These swells will reach the coast before the storm itself, serving as an early warning. Whether the biggest wave is 75 or 100 feet, the danger for our beaches is the same. The focus must remain on the real imminent threat, not just the headlines. Erin swells will impact nearly the entire U.S. East Coast, from Florida to New England. The Carolinas, especially beaches facing the open Atlantic, are expected to see the largest waves, 8 to 12 feet or more. Florida's Space Coast and other eastern beaches will also experience dramatic increases in surf and rip currents. Northern beaches in the mid-Atlantic and New England will face slightly lower waves, but the danger remains high. Long-period swells will reshape sandbars and create unpredictable, powerful rip currents. No coastal area should feel safe based on distance from the storm. Emergency officials are preparing warnings for every state along the coast. Residents and visitors must pay close attention to local advisories and beach closures. Hurricane swells arrive long before the storm itself, often under sunny skies. Erin's first swells are expected to reach Florida and Georgia late Wednesday, August 20th, with the most dangerous conditions peaking Thursday and Friday. The Carolinas will see the highest risk during this window, while the mid-Atlantic and New England will feel the effects through the weekend. This timing coincides with peak beach-going days, increasing the risk for unsuspecting visitors. The hazardous surf and rip currents will persist for several days, even after Erin moves away. The ocean retains this energy, so conditions won't return to normal immediately. Beach hazards could last from Thursday through the weekend and into early next week in the north. Constant vigilance is required throughout this period. Dangerous surf means more than just big waves. It's a deadly combination of power and unpredictability. Waves from Erin can knock adults off their feet, cause rapid beach erosion, and damage coastal structures. The greatest threat is rip currents, fast-moving channels pulling swimmers away from shore. Rip currents form when waves push water onto the beach, which then rushes back out through breaks and sandbars. They don't pull you under, but can quickly exhaust even strong swimmers trying to fight them. During hurricane swells, rip currents are stronger and more widespread than usual. The mix of high surf and rip currents creates a lethal environment. Officials urge everyone to stay out of the water. No one, regardless of swimming ability, is safe in these conditions. The National Weather Service and NOAA have issued urgent warnings. During this high surf event, it is absolutely essential to stay out of the water. These agencies are the nation's leading authorities on weather safety, and their guidance is based on years of experience and scientific data. When they say conditions are dangerous, it's because the risks are real and immediate. The ocean will be extremely unpredictable, with powerful waves and a high risk of being swept away or caught in strong rip currents. Even experienced swimmers and surfers are at risk, as these currents can overpower anyone in seconds. Lifeguards may not be able to reach you in time if you get into trouble. It's also critical to stay off piers, jetties, and rocks. Large waves can crash over these structures without warning, knocking people off their feet and pulling them into the sea. Many accidents happen when people underestimate the force of the ocean in these areas. Keep a generous distance from the water's edge. Sneaker waves can surge much farther up the beach than you expect, catching people off guard and dragging them into deep water. Always stay behind warning tape and pay attention to posted signs. If you do find yourself caught in a rip current, try to remain calm. Don't fight the current directly. Instead, float to conserve your energy. Then swim parallel to the shore until you're out of the current's grip. This technique can save your life. If you're unable to escape, signal for help by waving your arm and continue floating on your back. This makes it easier for rescuers to spot you and reach you quickly. If you see someone in trouble, never attempt a rescue yourself. Instead, call 911 immediately and throw them something that floats, like a life ring or a buoy. Your quick thinking could make all the difference. Following these official guidelines is the best way to protect yourself, your loved ones, and others from the dangers of Erin's powerful swell. Take a moment to review posted safety information and always listen to lifeguards and local authorities. Remember, safety must always come first. Enjoy the dramatic power of the ocean from a safe distance and never put yourself or others at unnecessary risk. As Hurricane Erin's swell approaches, the message is clear. The ocean will be hazardous for days. This is a time for caution and respect. Don't be deceived by calm weather or beautiful waves. Official warnings are based on science and designed to save lives. Stay informed, listen to lifeguards and emergency officials, and obey all beach closures. Avoid all water activities, even wading. The risks are simply too great. Dangerous conditions will arrive before the storm, often under clear skies. Don't be caught off guard. Erin's distant power is a reminder of nature's reach and our need for vigilance. Share safety information with friends and family, and check on vulnerable neighbors. By heeding expert advice and staying out of the water, we can keep this event from becoming a tragedy.